people are having in Canada. Hey, so let's take a look at this today. We're going to jump right into it for Canada's only weekly video mortgage news podcast with Joe Bladek, your local Ontario mortgage broker. And we're going to be talking about the 7 top credit worries people have on their credit. And, a lot of times I do chat with people and they are worried. They are worried that, they don't think they're going to be able to qualify for a home. And how much home are they going to be able to qualify for? They think that their credit score is not good enough, and they think that they won't qualify for a mortgage. Well, quite often, those folks are the ones with the best credit score because they really are really hard on themselves. But let's take a look at this. One of the first things we're going to talk about today is credit worthiness. Credit worthiness. Many people do worry that their credit score is not high enough for the loans, credit cards, or other financial products. And they think that's going to limit their ability to buy a home. Well, a lot of the times I am working with first-time home buyers that are thinking like this, and they have what's called an OSAP loan, a loan that they've taken to go to college or university. And a lot of those people are able to still get a mortgage. And quite often they are in their home for a number of years before they actually pay off that OSAP loan. So, as long as you've been paying your bills on time and you've been doing a good job with that, and you haven't really missed any payments in the last 2 years, then you're going to be able to get a mortgage on the most part. And, always good to talk to a mortgage broker about that even further. But the second thing that people are worried about with their credit score is interest rates. People with lower credit scores are typically offered higher interest rates on loans and credit cards and mortgages and such, which can result in paying more over time. But a lot of the folks that are worried about their credit score and, they have it on their mind, they're actually making their payments every month. And maybe they're not paying off the entire balance on their credit card each month, but they're making their minimum payments every month. Maybe they're not zero on all the different loans and student loans and credit cards that they have, but they're still making the payments. So with that, you're going to have a good credit score. So don't be too worried about that, but that is one of the big worries I see. 3, you want to take a look at the third option here? The third thing most people are worried about with their credit score, that's employment and income. With employment and income, for example, some employers may check credit scores during the hiring process, which can be a concern for an individual with low credit. I know for myself, when I became a mortgage agent and then upgraded my license to a mortgage broker, and also when I received an accredited mortgage professional certification, I had my credit checked every single time in those cases. And it was part of my process to be employed. Mainly what employers are looking for, though, is fraud. So they are not really concerned about, that you owe a few $1,000s on a credit card, or they're not really concerned if you have a loan for a vehicle. They're not really concerned about if you have furniture loans or lines of credit with a balance on them. They're really just concerned about fraud and making sure that you say who you say you are. Number 4, what is another worry that people have on their credit score? And that is actually housing. Have you ever applied to rent a apartment and they want to check your credit? Or, for example, have you ever met with someone like myself and wanted to get a mortgage? Well, landlords, property managers, and mortgage professionals and lenders, they're going to check your credit score when considering rental or mortgage applications. And that's going to impact your ability to secure housing. But if you're worried about that, chances are, like I said, you're making those payments and you're doing a good job. But if you have a low credit score, consider this: you may not get that rental apartment, or you maybe would have got it, but there's someone with a better credit score ahead of you that will get that. And it's not only just about the number on your credit bureau, it's also about how much debt you have, how much you're paying out each month, and how that affects your overall living expenses. And that actually moves me into number 5 out of the 7 top reasons people are worried about their credit score. One of the top 7 reasons of credit worries. So that's debt. And people with lower credit scores may have higher levels of debt, just like I said there. What that can lead to financial stress, and no landlord or mortgage company wants to lend to someone that is going to make difficulty making payments, because that's just going to lead to a stressful situation for yourself as the person that is going to be living in that home. And it's going to lead to a lot of extra work that the lender or landlord or property manager will need to do to get you into a home. So debt is a big deal there. Number 6, identity theft. Identity theft is another one of the top 7 credit score worries that people have. And why is that? Well, identity theft can actually damage your credit score and make it difficult for you to access financial products and services. So how does that work? Well, if you are working with someone and they actually are able to take your information, and maybe it's not secured, maybe it gets stolen in some way, maybe you've mailed your information and the mail gets lost. I've heard that happen before. Or maybe your financial information is on some sort of website, and on that website gets hacked. Well, that information can be used to falsify your identity, and because of that, you're actually going to be in a situation where you have other people impersonating you and using your credit score, maybe taking loans and credit cards out for you. So that's actually one of the top 7 credit score worries I see people have as well. And so much so, actually, that I've seen people put a security on their credit bureau. So if a lender or a financial institution is looking at giving and extending credit to you, that they need to actually call a phone number, whether it's your cell phone or home phone, just to confirm your identity and that you are taking that credit instrument, and just to confirm all that for you. That can be an extra layer of added security. Let me know if you want some more help with that. I can help you get that set up. It's actually a free service that is provided for you by the credit card companies. Number 7, a lot of people are worried about this one too, and I do see it quite often. That's credit report errors. They're afraid, say they had they're afraid that maybe I had a collection at some point, or maybe I paid that bill, but I paid it on the due date. Did it go in? Did it actually get reflected on my credit bureau as a on-time payment, or was it a late payment? Well, mistakes on a credit report frequently do happen, and they can negatively impact your credit score. And that leads to concerns about accuracy and fairness in the reporting system. But if that is you, chances are, if you've been in that situation, you can actually check your credit for free by mailing a request into Equifax or TransUnion, or you can talk to me, your mortgage broker, to get your credit checked for you, and we can have a consultation to chat about your credit, and I can help you point out errors and help you actually submit those errors to Equifax or TransUnion to get them removed. Let me give you a couple examples of these kinds of errors that I've helped clients do before. So one of those is where they've actually come to me for a mortgage, and they've gone through maybe a consumer proposal or bankruptcy. This was years ago. They've since been discharged and it's behind them. But for some reason, their credit score is still reporting low. So what do we notice on the credit bureau? We see sometimes that there are accounts with lenders that have not been deemed and identified accurately as being part of that consumer proposal or bankruptcy. And that's actually showing late payments, showing that it's gone to collections, and it's showing that it's still an active debt instead of one that was included in your bankruptcy or consumer proposal. So what we can do is actually put some paperwork together and send it all to Equifax for you or TransUnion and get that actually repaired on your credit. And in some cases, it's been a long enough time that it's actually removed 100%, and we can actually remove that, and your credit score all of a sudden goes right back up. Another example of that would be, say you had a collection in the past and there was a misunderstanding that you actually had paid the bill, but somehow it went to collections. Well, if there's enough evidence for that, we can actually sit down together and put together a case and submit that to Equifax or TransUnion, and we can remove that for you and help you get your credit score back up and working for you that way. It's really important to have a great credit score, especially if you want to borrow the max mortgage to get the best rate. And especially in this market, with the average national home price now being over $612,000, you're going to need to be able to get the lowest rate and the most mortgage just to get into the market. So think about that. And one of the things that I like to do is to go over every client's of mine credit score with them just to make sure it's accurate. So we're not looking at those situations. So what are those top 7 credit score worries? Just one more time to go through them with you together. One is credit worthiness. A lot of my clients don't feel like they have a good credit score, but when we go to check their credit score, everything looks fine. Number 2 is interest rates. They're worried that they're not going to get the best interest rate. Well, with credit scores above 680, you're typically going to get the best interest rate. And it's not until you hit 740 that you'll get the most mortgage. We'll talk about that later in a future video, but that's a different whole topic there. Employment, a lot of clients are concerned that when they're applying for a job, they're going to get their credit score checked and that their credit score is not going to be good enough to get that job. Housing, if you're applying for housing, whether it's a mortgage or a rental application, a lot of people are worried that they're not going to get that home because of their credit. Debt, again, higher debts mean lower credit scores. Because of that, higher interest rates. And number 6, identity theft. And number 7, credit report errors. And that's really what it comes down to. And I've helped a lot of my clients actually go from bankruptcy into home ownership with the best rates. And how have I done that? I've walked them through their credit, and we've had credit meetings where we talk about your credit and be able to put together a strategy and a plan to help you get the best credit score. And sometimes it will take 3, 6, 9 to 12 months to get your credit score reestablished and all set up. But usually to remove errors, it's just a few weeks, and we can work that through together as part of your mortgage application. So those are the top credit score worries. Let me know what you've been worried about with your credit score in the past. I would love to sit down with you and go over that with you, talk about your credit score, and see what we can do to improve your credit score in the future. So let's go on to the rest of my presentation here. I have here the current average monthly mortgage payments for a purchase of $500,000, as well as a refinance illustration for someone that owns a property that's worth $900,000. Won't focus too much on this other than when you're buying a home with a minimum down payment on a $500,000 home, your down payment is 5%, which is $25,000, and that's going to give you a monthly mortgage payment these days of $2,700 and change. If you're refinancing your home, as you can see, on a $900,000 home, you can take your mortgage up to a maximum of $720,000. That is 80% of the value of your home. Now, if you look at this mortgage example, it's over a 30-year amortization. It's typically what a lot of people do. I do have 40-year amortizations available, but the mortgage payment there is $3,950 and change per month. Let's look at the 5-year bond yield. With the 5-year bond yield, actually, it's been going up to 3.654%. We do see that the bond yield has gone up quite considerably these last 2 weeks. You can see my indication here with these red lines. We had a trend down here for a number of months. Those who got pre-approved in this stage got the lowest 5-year fixed rate. And now we're seeing actually 5-year fixed rates climb yet again. What's that going to mean for the spring market? Well, it could slow things down a bit, but the people that did get pre-approved here, they're in a good situation. A lot of my clients who have been watching my podcast did get pre-approved here. And with anyone that did get a pre-approval in this area, they were still active, and I was able to lower their pre-approved rate here. So if you're looking to get pre-approved, do contact me. I can make sure I can keep an eye on this for you and lower your rates accordingly. Inflation rate for Canada, it's been going down. As you see with my trend line here, January of 2023 is sitting at 5.9%. That's a big decline from the high of 8.1% that we did experience in June. So that's great to see. And how does this compare with the United States inflation? Well, we're down to 6.4%, as you can see here, which came down from 9.1%. Look at this red trend line there. All right. So what's the CDOR rate, and why do I report this on Canadian Mortgage Weekly? Well, I look at this to give you an idea if a variable rate mortgage is the right mortgage for you and if it's competitive. Right now, actually, the CDOR rate is sitting at 5.02%, which is showing me it's actually been pretty stable since the end of December here. It's been sort of flatlining since then. And with that, variable rates, like this is actually showing what the market is pricing in for variable rates. Could this mean that we will not have a rate adjustment on March the 8th? Well, we'll have to see about that. But one thing I do know for certain is that the jobs report from Stats Canada here has been showing an increase in jobs in January of 2023. The jobs actually went up 0.8%. People aren't really getting laid off as everyone is predicting. I'm seeing a lot of these folks predicting recessions coming in the near future. Well, that usually is tied with unemployment and job loss. But in Canada, the Canadian economy actually added 0.8% in terms of jobs, which worked out, I think the show is here, that has gone up quite considerably since the 2020 dip here during COVID. All right, prime rate update. So prime rate still sitting at 6.7%, but we are trending up on this. So with that, what are we going to see here? We're going to see prime rate be adjusted again on March the 8th. Interesting to see if the lower inflation will contribute to a rate pause on the rate hikes. We're going to have to wait until March the 8th to find that out. And that's actually when the next announcement is happening. March the 8th at 10 a.m. Current overnight rate is sitting at 4.5%. The last time we had a rate announcement, it did increase by 0.25%. All right. Let's take a look at the average national house price. Currently sitting at $612,204. That's as of January of 2023. It actually did go down by 2%. The property prices peaked right here in February of 2022. So if you did sell around this area, good for you, but we've been seeing a steady decline. And a few of my followers on TikTok are thinking that the property prices will still decline going into the future. What do you guys think here? I will be interested to hear what your thoughts are on this. Do you think property prices have bottomed out? I did have a lot of investors buy in this area, which was August, July of 2022. They piled in, and we've started to see a decline past that point. Currently, average house price is sitting at $612,204. What does that translate to if you were to buy a home today? Well, if you're looking at putting the minimum down payment on a home, that translates to $36,220.40 with a mortgage amount of $575,983.60. That gives you a monthly mortgage payment of $3,281.43. All right. You want a lower mortgage payment? Let's look at 20% down. That gives you a monthly mortgage payment of $2,684.41. However, the down payment is strikingly higher at $180,000. So quite a large down payment, but it does reduce your mortgage quite a bit. Keep in mind, though, your rates are typically higher if you're putting 20% down. And why is that? Well, you're not taking the insurance, and the insurance reduces the risk for the bank. And when the bank has reduced risk, they reward that with a slightly lower rate. Currently, it's sitting about 0.5% lower if you take the mortgage insurance. So, that's how it's looking there. And that was episode 125 for Canadian Mortgage Weekly, Canada's only weekly video mortgage news podcast. If you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. This is Canadian Mortgage Weekly, Canada's only video mortgage news podcast. And my name is Joe Bladek. I'm your local Ontario mortgage broker. for episode 125. If you're looking to book an appointment with me, you can reach me in my contact information below. I also have an appointment link where you can schedule an appointment directly with me. You'll be taken directly to my calendar, and you can look at what is available there and book an appointment with me then. Well, where are we going from here? We're going to be looking next week at March 8th. Wednesday, March 8th, join me for a pre-rate show at 9:45 a.m. with an official rate announcement from the Bank of Canada at 10 a.m. And we're going to be looking at the reaction to the rate announcement shortly following after. So looking forward to seeing you next week. What do you think is going to happen to the rates? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think rates are going to go down next week? Do you think they'll pause, or do you think they'll go back up? Be interesting to see, and I hope to see you then. We'll talk to you later.